Hi Luminaires, my name is Jamie Butler, and this is November's Energy Update. I'll be trans-channeling Maitland, my guide, to speak directly to you about the energy shifts and changes of November 2020. Maitland also likes to go over the chakras that are going to be challenged, supported, and needed the most for the month of November. Knowing that you're energy sensitive at any time that you feel lightheaded or dizzy, just take a step back from the words and from the video, grab a glass of water or even some coffee or some chocolate to get you a little bit more grounded into your body. If you're wanting to practice to see energy, check out the right side of my body between my ear and my shoulder. Not at me, but here. And I know you're thinking, this is a recording, Jamie, and possibly one that you weren't here live for because only Colleen and my dear friend Peter Lombardi is here today. Energy doesn't know the difference. Energy transcends time and space. What this means is that you're having a real live response to real live energy, even though it's a recording. So thanks for letting me take a little time to explain that. Now let's allow Maitland to come in and give you November's 2020 energy update. Take care, Luminaires, and thank you so much for being a YouTube member. It means so much to me to be able to provide this time, these messages, and this energy for you as we are all going through this together. This is not woo-woo, it's true. To choose happiness and that laughter heals. These are going to be really important for us. Take care. Hi, everybody. My name is Maitland. That's Maitland, and I'm here to give the energy update for November 2020. I'm one of Jamie's guides, and I was the one who first trans-channeled with her, and I've been with her ever since. I like doing the energy updates because I really enjoy informing people, mostly of kind of where they come from and how they connect to their energy, and especially that everything around you has life in it. And there's a big sound outside, and I'm hoping you don't hear it because I've been trained to listen for the sounds now. They all sound louder to me in my head because when I trans-channel, it's like we use the human body a little bit differently. You know, you can only see certain levels of colors, you know, from red to purple, and then you only hear certain frequencies in your ear, and those are made that way because your body is made that way, but it's also because you've been trained that way, that's what you learn to see. And when I get to come into the human bodies, because I trans-channel with other people too, that we can hear further and different sounds, and I can see differently than you and see different colors. So I just thought that was interesting to mention because a lot of the Luminaires ask all the time about what it's like to be in a body when you don't have your own body. I have my own light body though, and we're going to talk about light bodies a lot in November. So I want to go and do a history of what we've talked about. We've been doing these energy updates since June, but I wanted to go back and just mention a little bit about, you know, we had extreme chaos, and then we came into calm, and then we came into like curiosity and awakening in August where people's lights were turning on more, and then September about just, you know, realizing that a lot of what's happening in the world isn't a truth information, like with marketing, and that was shown even more in October. And now we're getting into November, the second month to the end of the year. And what's crazy, ends of years really don't matter. Energy continues to cycle, but because there's such a heavy belief system that an end cuts off things that we don't want, and then we no longer have to look at them and address them, and we can let them go because it's an end and then a beginning. We can then go, oh, we have so much hope. I'm going to make these new affirmations. I'm going to make these new promises. I'm going to turn over a new leaf. And we get excited about these beginnings. And so really the whole 12-month calendar is an excuse to have an end and a beginning and a cycle. And because so many people believe in that, it really works. We talk about mass consciousness quite a bit, that if more than, one person thinks about something, the energy is stronger. It compounds on itself. It doesn't just double, it compounds larger and larger and larger, and then it becomes available for others who maybe are not thinking that way or feeling that way or observing life that way to sense or be impressed upon that vibration and that kind of energy, and then they have an aha moment. I have this thing and it's all mine because I discovered it, and they wake up, and it's great because it feels like it's your own awakening, but really it's being pushed from hundreds and thousands and millions of other people who are thinking the same way already. So cheers to the end of the year of 2020. That's nice. So when I mention we're in the second month to the end of the year, this is where people start to rev up to learn how to close a door. So it's going to be good. And I want to say before I start, I have Colleen in the room. Say hi, Colleen.
Hi.
You might hear her voice from time to time. And I have my friend Peter Lombardi in the room. Say hi.
Hi, everybody.
And you might hear his voice too. And so we're going to just do this. So November, as I mentioned, is getting revved up and focused to close a door. But in the United States right now, there is a presidential election. And this is a very high emotional presidential election. And high emotions, many people get on board, and what happens is you tend to see sides. There's this team and this team. And then you'll have those people who just choose not to participate. And so they're kind of like on the sides. And now we have a traditional game. This team is fighting this team, and then we have observers. I wonder how it's going to go because I don't want to attach to a certain outcome. So with that happening, it's worth noting because United States has a lot of influences on other countries, and they are still seen as a country of leadership. So there are many other people's eyes on this, and if we're looking at population rates and how people are looking at this election that's occurring in the United States, we are at a mass consciousness level. So even though the election is just for one country, it has an effect globally because of how many eyes, energies, hearts are entwined into the system and into the outcome of it. Does that make sense? Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. So I don't want to get into politics because that's not what the energy update is about. What I do want to talk about is energetically what this separation and team energy is like, because it's going to be felt everywhere. These team energies, a single person can hold two types of energies quite easily. In fact, they can hold hundreds. But with the human body, there is this indoctrinated, like just habitual teaching and habits of, when you grow up, you have to pick one career and you have to do it. What are you going to be when you grow up? It's not how many different things do you think you'll be when you grow up. It's what are you going to be when you grow up. It's think of this one thing that you are and put it on. So even though we're able to manage and handle hundreds of different vibrations at a time, we are trained that one has to lead and one has to be the most important, and the one has to be the thing that we identify who we are with. I still have you? Okay. Think about it. What were you taught? Were you taught to look at one thing? Were you the pleaser? Was it about being kind? Was it about being successful? Was it about being in control? What was that thing that you were taught that it was important that you had under control and that you could do with ease? And then At what point in your life did you take that one thing and go, now this is how I will identify myself, and I will make this my personality, and take it on? Were you taught that humor eases all the pain and the suffering, and so now you're the funny person? And then that was an attribute you had, and you could use it like a tool, but then all of a sudden life kind of pushed in on you, whether it was your teachers, whether it was your parents, whether it was community that said, you're really good at that. You have to do that all the time. You need to do that for a living. You got to do that as a focus. You got to hone in on that skill and make that skill your number one skill. And so you did. And then it was a thing you could do, and it turned into a skill, and it was still a tool, but then it became your identity, because then everybody saw you as the funny person, and nobody saw you as someone who could provide, a calm space, a healing space, provide financial advice, or, things of that nature, because you're supposed to be the one that makes them laugh. And now you are that. So at what point was it you took your skill, your ability, your skill, and made it you? Because when we do those things, we tell the other 99 plus vibrations and energies that we can hold to get in line. And we start to prioritize them rather than seeing them as ways that we can harmonize our lives. Because when we can hold those different vibrations and we're coming into a situation, and I'm just going to stick with the funny person as an example, that if you're the funny person and you come into a situation and maybe two people are arguing, maybe your skill is being funny, that one vibration that you have, which is actually like a grouping of vibrations that you express, that might not be the best fit. But because you prioritized it, that's what's expected of you, and that's how your behavior is, and that's what you shaped yourself to be. But what if you looked at all of them and said, okay, this and this and this, I'm going to pull forward, and I can carry these vibrations. And maybe this one is about being calm and holding silence, and maybe this one is about providing a safe physical space, and maybe this one is a listening ear. And there's nothing funny in this. So I know it's a strange way of talking about vibrations and who you are as a person, but I wanted to really give you a visual on it and try to simplify it, that you have so many choices that you can make, but we often don't see those choices because we're trained to focus on one and make it really good and make it our existence. And November is, imagine November, so we kind of start off November kind of with a full moon. We're coming off a blue full moon, and it's the Day of the Dead, and the veil is very thin. That means that the energies, think about the dimensions as being like really fat pieces of bread, and they're all sliced thick. Well, what do they call the Texas bread? Is that the word? Did I get it?
Like Texas toast?
Texas toast. Real thick. Boom, 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 and they're all stacked real thick. And the dimensions are very thick. And so think of the October 31st, November 1st, 2nd, 3rd, that these thick Texas toast slices get really thin. That's what we mean. And then it's easier for you to transcend or kind of bleed over into other dimensions because their qualities and their values are a lot thinner. If you can expand into other dimensional planes, you can communicate to people like myself, other entities, angels, guides, loved ones, people that are multidimensional beings. That becomes kind of easy. And think about what good timing this is. August, a lot of people woke up. Wow, this really isn't woo-woo. I found some true to it. I got validation. September was all about validate. And then October was like, how do I use this? And then now at the end of October into November, you get the thinning of the veil. And this is like, you want to know how you use this? This is how. And you're going to start having these like brief reunions, these brief check-in moments, not aha moments. Aha moments are like ping, and your head goes, oh, I'm getting something. I understand. I'm talking brief moments where you're in front of, where you're having communication, where you're experiencing, and you just go, what in the world is happening? I know that you are no longer alive, and I'm seeing you, and I'm talking to you, and I'm very aware of this, and even though I'm very aware of this, you're not going away. So what's happening? And then maybe after that they go away. But they're brief moments of connecting in a way that maybe you haven't connected before. And brief is perfect. You don't have to extend the conversations. Just let them be what they are. But really work on the aftermath of your brief interaction, because a lot of people on Earth go, well, if that's real, if that's real, it has to happen again. And it has to happen like this. And it has to do this. And they want the first validation to be validated again for it to be validated. And it's like, come on, let that stuff go. You're more than a 3D body now. So when your head starts to rear up that way in the aftermath of communication, you just got to go, I got to be honest with you. It definitely was wild and strange and weird, but it was real. And don't let your brain, your analytical brain, for those of you who are newer into energy, try to dismiss it and say, well, obviously it wasn't real because they can't do it again. It's not repeatable. That one gets under my skin. But going back to November, talking about the veil, I said I wanted you to imagine November, if it could just come up with some arms, like November's growing arms, and it just comes up and it just kind of grabs hold of you. That kind of sounds spooky, doesn't it? But it just kind of grabs hold of you, and the energy of November is just gonna reach in and wrap around you. For several reasons. Going back, this is the second month before the end of the year. People are gearing up to close up, but we have a political resolution that needs to occur in the midst of many, 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 many lies. And lies are energies that aren't in harmony, and that when it comes at you, it's just like, it just kind of hits you and resonates, and it doesn't feel good. It's like hearing a sour note again and again and again, or like eating something that doesn't taste good over and over. And that's what a lie is energetically. And so here you are, wanting to close up, being in mystery, surrounded by lies. The veil is thin, and energy is coming alive, going, listen, we're here. I want one of those things you can put on your throat and you can change the voices. We're here. Like something like that. Because I kind of want you to be, I want you to notice my words. I want you to really notice this one, so that you will give it more focus. I know you're listening, and I really appreciate you listening to how the energy is shifting. But this time I want you to say, okay, this one is slightly different. This one is really going to create some change. This one is going to come up and grab me and say, you can't just identify yourself with that one vibration. You are more than that. I am going to give you experiences that will prove this to you, that you are a multitude of things. And I'm going to hold that space for you, so that maybe you're going to be very uncomfortable. And maybe that might show up emotionally. It might show up physically. You might have physical injuries. It might show up mentally, where your worry is just off the chart. Your anxiety, your I can't control things and I don't know how. It could be that you lose your job. It could be that anything. It could be something. It's going to be something that just says, I'm going to give you an opportunity of discomfort so that I can show you you're more than who you say you are. Because we've been on this side cheering you on. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Look at this, and you can, and this is great, and you can expand, and you're vibrationally incredible, and all of this, and you're listening, but without doing the work, there's no comprehension of what you are and how powerful and strong. So there's a little bit of a squeeze. It doesn't mean destruction. It doesn't mean punishment. Those aren't what's happening. What's happening is a different kind of pressure cooker than what you experienced at the beginning of quarantine. It's a different kind. And it's more of a self, like inside the head and inside the heart cooker, where the end result is almost at a 100% success rate. Maybe 99.9, 98 maybe, but almost 100% success rate. That when you do the self pressure cooker, the hands of November holding you to it, going to give you some discomfort so that you realize how you're behaving, what you're doing, what you're thinking, and who you are is not working anymore, and you have so many other choices, and you've been learning those skills, and you know those choices, and they're incredible, and all of a sudden you go, oh, okay, I can't be this way anymore. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. This is terrible. I'm going to do this. That's like the almost 100% success rate that each and every one of you go, oh, okay, you're right, that's hard, and I don't value that anymore, and that's not what I feed into anymore, and these are my choices. And when I mentioned the political, the teams and observers, so it's interesting. The observers aren't, there's few kinds of observers, and maybe you can find yourself in this, is that there's an observer that's totally disattached. Disattached? I don't think that's a word.
Unattached?
Unattached. I don't care what's happening. I'm not here. This is this. And then there's the observer that wants to see everything, analyze everything, and be a part of everything, but not participate. What do you think is healthier? The one who... Unattached. Or the one who doesn't participate? I'll give you 3 more seconds to come up with your answer. What do you think it is?
I don't know. Maybe in the middle?
That wasn't an option.
I think it's unattached. If you're unattached to the outcome, but you still participate. Does that make sense?
That's the healthier one. The not participating is the unhealthy. When you choose not to participate, whether it is fear, or I just don't know, or I claim I'm too busy, or that I don't, other people do that, not me. When you choose not to participate, you are fully sabotaging yourself. And not participating is a choice, like you're choosing it. And when you don't give in, you're not investing anything, and therefore you're not feeding nutrition, new energy, new anything to help resolve or get the outcome that you want to really see for yourself. Because everybody has opinions. So even if you're not participating, I know you have opinions about it. And then when it's all said and done, you'll probably complain. That's not right. I didn't want that to happen. Or that person. Why did that go down? Why didn't people stand up? What do you mean, why didn't you stand up? So I encourage each and every one of you to participate, no matter where you are and on what side of the team. Contribute, invest. When you invest and contribute, even if it's a small amount of energy, or money, or words, or time, or presence, or talent, or if it's a lot, you get to decide. Because any amount is perfect. Even just a dash of participation is going to put your energy out into that communication, and it's going to help this world shift into harmony, into peace. But if you're not participating in this way, and you're choosing to not participate, true harmony can't exist. We can't have the peace, we can't find the balance, because we have weight on the side that is going against, even though it might be a value of yours, like I really want to experience peace in my life or harmony in my life, but I just don't want to participate in it. I just want it to happen. You're actually contradicting yourself because you're not allowing your energy to be invested. We are all in this together, all of us, and we're all going to have different opinions, each and every one of us. We might find some people who sound similar to us, and then we build these little tribes, and that's fun, but we're all in this, and we all have different opinions, and even though that exists, we can still create balance and harmony, but we need a participation. So I'm excited about November because of the thinning of the veil and the hands that come up and say, remember all that stuff you learned about energy and about how you have choice and how you have different perspective and how you can use healing and you can take care of yourself and you are powerful. And even if you speak in the terms of I, you're not going so overboard that you are egocentric or narcissistic, and you can take care of yourself. So these hands that are coming up in November to pressurize the inside of you, your personal experience of your own existence, is about, and here's another visual, it's about catching the pendulum swing that's coming back down. And instead of pushing it and allowing it go to the further extreme, which can also be unserving and sometimes dangerous and, going against, we're going to slow it down and try to get it to rest in the middle and come to a slower swing. That's like we had patriarchal leaders, governance? What do you say?
Governments?
Governments? Well, it's not the one I was thinking of, but it works.
Leaders works, I think.
But it's run by men.
Mm-hmm.
And the women
so that would be patriarchal.
Patriarchal, and the women had a smaller voice.
Mm-hmm.
And so the pendulum was here, and it stayed here, and it stayed here. So now it's coming down, and women are getting more of a voice. But wait, because we think, oh, this wasn't good, so we got to give all the power to the other side, that this will swing. And now all the women, it'll be all mostly women, they'll get it. But what's cool is with women, because they are the ones who give birth, they don't just give birth to other women, they give birth to men too. And so they build intense relationships with men, whereas men don't give birth. And they don't have to raise and be with women and grow them and raise them. They don't have to. And not every woman gives birth. I'm just making blanket statements that in the indoctrinated system of what women are there to care for all, whereas men were taught to be a leader and to provide, not to be with all, but to provide. And most of the time to provide, it means to go off on your own and to set foot and so forth. So it's just different characteristics of personality or genders, how we've done it in the past, and that's changing as well. And so the women go, but we know the men, we know what they're capable of, and they're going to slow the pendulum down. so it can rest in the center. They'll start to share. And politically, we can see those as well. But I'm choosing not to talk about it because people can get very emotional. And people can get very emotional about the gender talk too. But just take a deep breath and know that the energy in November is trying to assist you into identifying how that pendulum swings and who do we want or what do we want, or there's a word for things. Which situations do we want to kind of have more? Because the pendulum is swinging. It's changing right now, and the job of November is to make sure that it doesn't go whoop and go 100% to the other side, because in any extreme, it's not healthy. Everything in moderation, all in moderation, all in equality and sharing and inclusivity. This is answers for higher dimensional beings, highly sensitive beings, energy-centric beings, and it will feed you mentally and emotionally and physically and spiritually. You'll feel very present, and the earth will be cared for in this, right? Because that's another pendulum swing. Mankind taking care of the earth. Yeah, but we're here and we're going to do this and we need to get all your resources, and then we have, maybe if a system breaks, we're like, oh my God, we can't do any of that. We only have to take care of the earth. Well, that's not healthy either. We have to take care of man and earth. That's in the center. So you'll experience pendulum swinging. Another layer, not like we need another layer, but when the veil is thin at the beginning of the month, just take a deep breath. There's going to be more chaos in the world. Remember when we had the spikes of when people got together and they rallied and they pushed back against certain systems, or people who felt wounded and didn't have a voice got really loud and explosive, which is mostly what happens when people or groups felt like they didn't have a voice before, and then when they feel like they can be heard, they get really loud because they're kind of immature and they don't know how to just step into it and say, we've got the courage now, we want to be seen, and we have a voice. So a little bit more of this is going to happen into November. And I'm bringing this up because I want you to be aware, as I talked about in October, there is a lot of lies. We're being fed non-factual, opinionated energies. And part of the squeeze of this internal is more leaders will come forward that understand moderation in the middle. More leaders will come up and say, we have to be fed the real information, minus the judgment, take away the opinion, take away the agenda, and we have to be fed real stuff. And in October, I mentioned there's going to be a movement with people who are going to say news stations or need to have laws and boundaries and rules put on them because they're sensationalizing the news and they're not giving us the facts. So you're going to be observing some like average people, I call them, that rise to occasions to really have stronger voices because of that pressure cooker, and they say, this is what we demand, this is what we deserve. And there's going to be some new news, podcast, radio, TV reporting system that does only factual information, to where that you can then sensationalize it the way that you want. You can wrap it with your opinion and your judgments, and it allows you to empower yourself with the information rather than to be manipulated by the opinions of the news and the situation. So the lies have to get louder and louder and louder and louder before those people rise up and go, we're putting this to a stop. So come to the end of the year, that's going to be challenged, and this is going to die down, and you're going to be able to breathe better. But again, your participation is needed. Your participation, that's a hard word. Your participation is needed. This much, any of it. Contribute. Practice in the month of November of how do I want to contribute. Rebuild your family, rebuild your community, rebuild your voice. Again, it doesn't need to consume you. You get to decide how much and how little. When we look at the chakra system for the month of November and what's happening, the one that's going to be challenged the most is we're going back to solar plexus, but it's a tag team between heart and solar plexus. There's going to be a lot of energy in the center of your body, and it's going to feel a little bit more dense or collected, and you're going to want to like want to physically grab it and throw it away. You can't get to it. It's because it's being cooked, it's being pressurized, and you're just going to be like, oh, I just need to breathe, I just need to move, I need to go for a walk, I need to increase my exercise so that I can breathe and I can feel in my body. That's a very good choice, by the way, because the energy vibrations are changing. They're being pressurized, so they're going to increase. It's not about being contained and then like turned into concrete and very hard to access. It's more like being cooked like a boil and increasing the vibration. And you're just like, oh my God, this is a lot. So you'll have different sensations about what that's like, but those are the ones that are going to be challenged. Your statements of who you are. I am a teacher, and I've been a teacher for 13 years. That is who I am. And then when you say it, you'll go, that's not all of who I am. Why do I always say I am a teacher and this is what I do as my career? Because like we were saying, your many, many, many vibrations, part of the pressure cooker, the arms of November are going to get you to realize you don't have to identify yourself as one skill. You can play all the vibrations and you have choice. So you'll start to change the way you're communicating, which then feeds into this, I need more from what's being reported to me. I need more from my community. I need more choice, and I need more than what my grocery store offers me. And so it can get really exciting. But for some of you that are already stepping into November and you're already being overwhelmed and challenged, it can feel like a lot. And so I say to you, Luminaires, who are already processing a lot of information and feel like you're doggy paddling in the middle of the ocean, I want you to continue with self-preservation. Continue with self-preservation and relax some. Continue to do the work, which is your part of participating, where you get to know yourself better. And November is a great time to do that in therapy, talk therapy, nonviolent communication techniques, psychology, like really the discovery of how you tick, because it's not as scary in November to look at yourself. That's something really great, by the way. It's not as scary because we're all doing it together. And when we're all doing it together, do you remember what happens when we all do it together? Mass consciousness. And that creates this other amazing energy of, hey, it's okay. It's okay to do this and look inside of yourself. It's okay to go deep. Whereas before we didn't have that. Look at yourself. You only look at yourself if you're wounded or if you're broken or if you're, gross. I can't think of another word that I can say. And it was frowned upon. That's what people say. But it's not going to be that way. Now it's going to be just like, wow, wow, wow. So if you haven't done this kind of work before and you're feeling overwhelmed, please come test the water. I believe you'll find it feeling very good. And then you can really enjoy who you are and the changes that you're making and the discoveries. So these two. So the heart is being challenged, the solar plexus. The ego, the character, the I, the laughter, the humor, the funny, being challenged. The love, the forgiveness, the compassion, the self-healing, the vulnerability, being challenged. Then we look at the energy that's being supported. Red is finally being supported. Root chakra is finally being supported, everybody. So even though we talk about all this roller coaster and feelings and arms of November coming out to hold you and say, you're more than what you are. It's like, wait, what? It's a lot of shift and changing, but red is very grounding. Red is like, oh, this energy that's being supported is like, oh, you're making all those changes, but you have no idea. You are so strong and rooted and grounded, and you know this is good. And so you're making these big, maybe you call them leaps of faith or war resolutions, conflict resolutions, but you're doing it in a way where there's actually less fear. You're more empowered in November. And that's interesting because you might be observing the news or observing, what's it called? Social media, Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and Twitter, LinkedIn and all these where they're making posts, but those are the lies. Then when you're getting them, if you're like, oh, that's weird, then you know it's a lie. Or you're getting it and you're like, ugh, that's a lie. You're getting this and it's like, oh, I'm so exhausted, this makes me angry, I'm so crazy. Most likely not truth. It is a tidbit of truth rolled in opinion and then dusted with some judgment and then recooked and then delivered, and it's something totally different, but at the root of it, it might be true. But at first glance, when we're being fed, we're not going to take the time to research what that nugget of truth looks like. So lies. And once you begin to notice this, you become more empowered. So the shifts and the changes that you're making, you're like, I deserve this. You cannot stand in my way. I have a right to do this. Excuse me. And it's this really nice confidence that I'm really enjoying. That's actually going to continue to rev up November, December. This is what we're watching, the mass consciousness shift a little away from in the enlightenment from the third eye, all of the woo-woo stuff becoming more available, the intuitive body becoming more available, to the empowerment of the people. People. Did you hear that? It didn't come with any culture, location, race, economics, status. I just said the word people. It's just going to get more and more steady and confident and foregoing, and it's going to feel nice. The chakra that's going to be needed the most, it's going to be your throat. Do you ever do that? Hey, how are you? The throat chakra is going to be the one most needed. And I might say that some of you could possibly be very tired of talking. But the month of November is going to provide a lot of space for you to have a lot of conversations. And you are going to learn firsthand, which is also another example of November coming up and going, you are more than what you say you are. Because you're going to learn how to talk about yourself. Not in an egocentric way, not in a narcissistic way. You're going to learn how to say, I feel, and I need, and I'm confused, or I don't know. You're going to learn how to speak more truth. And because the inner self, the individual you, is going to be challenged so much, the way to release the pressure in being cooked, when water boils and you have a lid on it, it just pops the lid. It's your mouth. It's your words. Words are energy. Thoughts are energy. When you have thoughts as energy, they roll in your head and then they go out into your energy field, and they're kind of there for merging with others, for being absorbed telepathy-wise, but words that come out of your mouth, spoken word, that projects. It comes with a force. woo, and it gets pushed out. It doesn't just get held into your energy field. And so to release some of this being, cooked and under pressure is going to be talking. And when you first start the talking, you might feel like you don't know what you're doing. And it's just blah, 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 blah. And then in the back of your head, you're going, what am I talking about? Oh my God, close your mouth. Don't say that. Oh, it's so embarrassing. But you'll quickly find, oh, I know what I'm trying to say. I know what I mean. And you'll just start to say it. And then these politeness, politries,
Polarities?
no, when you're polite,
Niceties?
the niceties you're used to using or been taught to use won't feel necessary anymore. And because you don't have them, you're not even going to feel rude. That's the difference. You're just going to say, I need to say this and I need to get it off my chest. And I think, great, here it is. Blah, 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 blah. And it doesn't create a conflict. And your level of responsibility of what you're saying goes skyrocket. You realize you're only responsible for yourself. You're not responsible for others. And that's pretty spectacular too. So there's a lot of great changes coming. And it's going to be important to know where you're coming from. So you got to slow down a little bit and look at your feet and identify where you're coming from. And at any time you feel the confusion or fear or anxiety creeping up, look at your feet and take a breath. And know that we indeed are all in this together. And November is going to provide a different kind of discomfort so that you get this practice of learning to talk about who you are and what you need. And it's going to give you an opportunity to apply all the skills that you've learned with being intuitive and being sensitive into your day-to-day life and practice. It's no longer a skill, it's a being. You no longer use your intuition. You are your intuition. November is the beginning of that shift. It doesn't happen in 1 month. This happens over a period of time. And I know that a lot of you would like to talk the politics, and I just would like to say that everything is okay, and everything will be fine. And I'm me, as other angels and gurus and entities on this side are quite pleased with the disturbance and the chaos, because what grows from that is a deeper insight and a deeper connection and better healing. You think about when you have war, what follows is peace. And you decided on Earth not to have war, and it could have easily gone there. And it teetered and it didn't happen, and it teetered and it didn't happen, and it was all based on resources and poor communication, and lots of some old wounds. So the war didn't happen, but it came out as a war against lies, a war against being mistreated. So war didn't occur with guns and armor and soldiers, but it occurred on Earth with words and an emotional abuse. And now we're going to be healing from that on Earth. And so I want to reassure you that everything is okay, and you're on track to keep your enlightenment and evolution going fast. I hope this helps you with November, and that I don't know, I hope it just helps you not feel so crazy. You're not crazy, and things are changing. So I never know how to say goodbye. So I'll say bye for now, and I'll see you next week for December's energy update. And I would say for the month of November, practice talking more than ever. Maybe carry around some blue lace agate. And for those that are a little like ADHD or just kind of all scattered, I would pair it with labradorite. And then I would carry some black tourmaline and some malachite to really pull out the old stuff from the heart. And that would be my powerhouse crystals that I would carry on. And I would meditate on heart connection, meditate on compassion, on the hard stuff. Like you can show compassion for your child, but what about somebody else's child that harms yours? That's what I want you to practice the compassion on. Okay. I'll see you later, alligators.